Hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the Chile community by the Chile community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Up tonight, we have an amazing episode here, locked and loaded, ready to go. 4 sauces on deck for Hot or Not tonight, and a very amazing guest locked and loaded. Look forward to jumping on into this one. Episode 149 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, or Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for being here and continuing to make this podcast what it is. Continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads or individuals that are just curious about the world of hot. This is where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. Up tonight, we have a Volcanic Peppers lineup ready to go for Hot or Not, as well as we have Tim of Volcanic Peppers here. We're going to be diving in how he got started, the overall journey that he's been able to go through, the inspiration behind all of his sauces, and where he's going from here. So looking forward to diving into that, as well as many of his new sauces that have just recently rolled out. So look forward to checking these out and sharing those more with you. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to Hot or Not. What's going on? Welcome on into another amazing episode of Hot or Not. And now on this part here, with the new iteration changes, everything will be a condensed down version with the full length reviews, doing the standalones on Scorchin' and Swearin'. So as always, I do not like to read the ingredients ahead of time. I like to let my taste buds do the exploration, as well as I don't like to do a 1 out of 10 scale. I do a 1 out of 5. That's based off of 5 different categories. Those categories are heat, aroma, flavor, versatility, and burn. Add those up, average amount, gives us our total swear word rating. So let's go ahead and check out tonight's first product. This is Black and Blue. Nice dark sauce. This is almost black. It has a nice purple undertone. Yes, this does have a perforation on the cellophane. Nice, I would say medium flow consistency on this sauce. Oh my goodness. Beautiful aroma. Very sweet, very fruity. Picking up what smells like a little bit of smoky nature, and definitely the peppers are coming through on the very faint note there, but nothing too crazy. Nice pour, beautiful flow going on there. It's almost like a nice syrup in its overall flow characteristics. But cheers. Oh my goodness. That is amazing. Let's talk about it. Right off the bat, savory and sweet. Much more sweet than savory, but it is a savory sweet. So in that sense, it can be easily paired with both the savory normal dish that you would expect, as well as this is going to go phenomenal in desserts. From a flavor standpoint, tastes almost like a little bit of soy sauce. You're definitely getting what tastes like maybe some blueberries or some blackberries going on in there. A kiss of some pepper on the back end. You're just barely getting greeted with it, but all in all, phenomenal, beautiful sauce here. From a entry standpoint, if you're just starting out, you're going to be able to pick this up, use it, love it, enjoy it, find out what a dessert style hot sauce is all about, because this could easily be applied for both areas, like I had said, and you're going to be able to use this and not worry about really hurting yourself in the long run. You're just going to be able to enjoy the end result, which is amplifying your food and falling in love with some hot sauce. As far as the heat goes, it's very minimal. It is much more of a later burn, and that burn is kind of residing towards the back half of the mouth, not quite the throat, but right there in that mid part back of the mouth. And it is just nice, slow sizzle sitting there. Beautiful notes on this. I can't wait to apply this on brownies, ice cream, pies, you name it. This thing's going on it, as well as I can see this going phenomenal with like pancakes, as well as like your breakfast in the morning. You're hitting this thing up. You're going to be able to also use this, on tacos. It's going to work out phenomenal on a nice pork taco. Let's go ahead and see what these ingredients are. Cane sugar, blueberry puree, maple syrup, vinegar, chili peppers. Those chili peppers are cayenne and Scotch bonnet. Then we have wild blackberry, and then soy sauce, salt, cornstarch, vitamin C, garlic, onion, and xanthan gum. All right, heat coming in at a 2, aroma of a 4.18. We have flavor of 4.3, versatility of 4.45, burn of a 2.6 for a total swear word rating of 3.51. There we go. Amazing sauce there. That one is once again from Volcanic Peppers. That is black and blue. The Traveler color to this sauce being that dark red, almost a brownish. This does have a perforation on the cellophane. Beautiful aroma, savory, smoky, a little bit of a vinegar note, but nothing too crazy. I'm not really pulling too much pepper-wise from that aroma. Some bright, fresh vegetable aspect. Cheers. Oh my goodness. Savory, smooth, creamy, all the certain start feelings that you get. And then from there, you get a nice savory depth really building in. You know, tasting what tastes like some paprika. Now I'm really starting to feel on the back of the throat some of that heat coming in. That burn is starting to linger and sit there and park towards the lower portion of the throat here. Absolutely loving it. It's a nice slow burn. It is ramping up good, but it's also had a nice initial flash kind of to the front of the mouth, but it faded away very quickly because of the amount of flavor that's going on here. If you're just starting out, moderation is key, but I definitely think this is one you could pick up, enjoy, find out kind of where you're comfortable at, and dial it in. This has so much flavor and so much fun inside this bottle that I think it would still lend well to those that are just starting out. Also, with that being said, if you're constantly working on your own personal best, this is going to be a nice mild to medium, probably more medium, depending on where your tolerance is at. This is definitely a slower build, so one that you could easily walk into and get yourself maybe in a bad situation if your tolerance isn't quite there, because the flavor and everything just draws you in so much more. All right, let's go ahead and read some ingredients here. So we have roasted bell peppers, we have vinegar, smoked habaneros, water, organic vegetable broth, cane sugar, roasted garlic, paprika, salt, tomato, spices, onion powder, chia seed, and vitamin C. All in all, phenomenal stuff. That vegetable broth really pops forward. You're able to pick it up in that savory depth. As I had mentioned, you get that nice vegetable, kind of fresh vegetable vibe and feel from it in that layer of savoriness. All right, here we go. Heat coming in at 2.85. We have aroma of 4.25, flavor of a 4.22, versatility of a 4, burn of a 3.4 for a total swear word rating of 3.74. There we go. That is the Traveler from Volcanic Peppers. Let's check out this next sauce. This is Smokin' Hot Scarlet. Now, as far as the sauce color, as you can see, it is a darker red, deeper red to this overall tone. Yes, this does have perforation on the cell. Great overall aroma. Smoky, as to be expected. Nice, what smells like maybe some garlic undertones, but just a great pepper forward smelling sauce here. Nice overall flow, medium consistency. Cheers. Man, oh man, that is phenomenal. The smoky nature to this here, very interesting. So it reminds me of like a smoked meat. So it has that nice depth to this sauce in that smoky aspect. Straightforward pepper notes carrying forward here, and then you're getting a little bit of maybe what tastes like some garlic or some onion going on, but it's just that great pepper body, nice smoky notes. If you're just starting out, this would probably be too hot for you, but in moderation, you leave the flow restrictor on, you get a few drops here, a few drops there. This could go a long way in aiding your overall tolerance building as well as use case applications. If you are working on your own personal best, you're pushing yourself, this is a medium heat sauce all day long. All right, ingredients are cayenne and ghost pepper, then vinegar, water, salt, sugar, garlic, xanthan gum, and vitamin C. Absolute home run there, Volcanic Peppers. Great job on Smokin' Hot Scarlet. Heat coming in at a 3.4, aroma of 3.89, flavor of a 4, versatility of a 4, burn of a 3.75 for a total swear word rating of 3.81. There we go. Smokin' Hot Scarlet from Volcanic Peppers. Another amazing sauce. Let's check out this next one. This is horse brains. Yes, this does have a perforation on the cellophane. Wow. Okay. Right off the bat, you're definitely picking up that super hot aroma and a little bit of citrus. There we go. There's the nostril sting I was waiting for. So nice overall aroma. If you like a pepper forward sauce, this is going to be right up that alley for that. Let's go ahead and jump on into this. Man, oh man, does that look beautiful. Nice, bright, kind of red color here. Nice medium consistency. Cheers. Really incorporate that around right off the bat. Woo! There it goes. Got the throat really opened up. The sinuses are opened up. I'm picking up the fruitiness of the peppers. It tastes like maybe some garlic going on there. A little bit of citrus. Man, oh man, I can already tell you it is opening up the airways. My nostrils are just completely cleared out. Bright, invigorating. It is lit up and opened up the throat airways. You're getting the back of the throat pretty good. The top half of the sinuses are pretty lit up because of, this overall just aromatic effect that comes in when you're eating the sauce. So it's burning you in two different ways, or interacting with your body in two different ways. If you're just starting out, this is not the sauce for you to start with. If you're working on your own personal best, you're looking for something fun, interesting, a great new take on a hot sauce that adds a new layer of engagement, head on over, check out Horse Brains. This is absolutely phenomenal. Also, from a burn characteristic, the initial heat was pretty quick to get the front of the mouth, get really lit up there, and then start to gravitate towards the back of the throat. Now, I can still feel it, like, as see me touching my nose here, I can feel it opening my nose, nasal passages really good. The level at which this sauce comes on and hits you right out the gate, very pepper forward, both in the aroma as in the flavor. Nice extra layer there. It's not just a mash, so you're not just eating mash, if you will. There is a level of depth to this sauce, and definitely one that is still burning nice and good and strong. It is coated back around the mouth, reactivated there, and I can feel it ramping up in the throat. Nothing really in the chest or in the stomach yet. Go ahead and read off the ingredients here. It says big and bold right here. Warning, super hot, use in moderation. Ingredients are hot chili peppers. Those are Carolina Reaper peppers and 7-pot brain strain. And it has vinegar, water, horseradish, garlic, sugar, salt, lime concentrate, horseradish powder, black pepper, chia seed, and vitamin C. All right, heat coming in at a 4, aroma of a 4, flavor of a 4.3, versatility of a 4, burn of a 4.42 for a total swear word rating of 4.15. There we go. Amazing sauce. Horse Brains, brand new one from Volcanic Peppers. Head on over and check these sauces out. I'll have direct links down below for them, as well as a link to the main site, so you can check out the full lineup of amazing products from Volcanic Peppers. And of course, let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to tonight's interview. Hey, Tim, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, Brandon. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. I've heard, and obviously I've enjoyed your products before, but I've also heard amazing things about you. So glad to have you here. I know that you've got a nice lineup of sauces really rolling out lately, kind of pushing the boundaries on some of those there. And one of them is showcasing one of my holy trinity of peppers that I enjoy. So super excited about that. So glad to have you here.
Right on. Glad to be here.
Well, one thing I always like to start out with, which is really the icebreaker, if you will, which is what got you into the world of hot, and what was the moment that you were like, I'm going to start making my own spicy products?
That's quite a story. Let's see. So, I started enjoying spicy stuff as late in my late teenage years and early 20s. And honestly, that love is what got me into gardening. Um, because honestly, the stuff I could get at that time that I knew about, Tabasco, sriracha, stuff from restaurants that they called spicy, it just didn't do it for me. So, I started growing jalapenos and, making spicy marinara and spicy salsa. And then I started dabbling with hot sauces. And So it was early in my 20s, where that love kind of sparked, late teenage, early 20s. The joy was early. I went on and had a career, worked, corporate life. I even traveled for 7 years. And when I stopped traveling, I came home and got back into gardening, and I started doing that with my youngest daughter. And we just, as a way to connect, we gardened, and she wanted to sell the produce, so we got a little table at a farmer's market and started selling. And I just happened to, right at that time, I was starting to get into growing some specialty peppers, habaneros, that I found online. I found somebody was selling they called it like the ghost pepper trio. It was the red, yellow, and chocolate ghost seed packet. And I'm like, I'll try that. And, started growing those. I had heard about the ghost pepper. And so we had this little stand. And um, I'd say, if anything else, it was just happenstance, and it was timing. It was just right around the time when really hot peppers were popular. There was some national coverage. I can't remember the exact year. I guess this would have been around 2009. Um, there was a popular food TV show, Man vs. Food. He did a
Yep.
special on, it was some foods with ghost pepper. And that following farmers market, I had a line at my booth of people wanting to try the ghost pepper, and I sold out. I mean, I just had a little basket. We just had a little table with some produce we were growing in our backyard, right? And I just kind of built this reputation of the hot pepper guy. And then one market, I had a bunch of extra peppers, and I was smoking a pork butt, and I had this little ceramic thing for doing vegetables for the smoker, and I threw a bunch of peppers on there, and was like, oh, I wonder if that's good.
Yep.
So, um, and I fell in love with the smoked peppers. I was like, holy, these are so good. I mean, I had this variety of habaneros and like fatality and ghost peppers. Um, and then, I wanted to do more of that, and I decided to try drying them. So I'd smoke them. And actually, at first, I just smoke them until they were dry. I mean, it was ridiculous, like 24 hours,
Oh yeah.
and way too much. Eventually, I figured out you could just smoke them and dry them, and that's how my volcano dust was born. I was like that guy that went to pizza places and was irritated that the red pepper didn't add any spice to my pizza. So I'm like, I'm just gonna make a little spice, put it in a spice jar and have this hot pepper. And actually, that's really kind of, I started selling at the market. I started selling on eBay, and then I opened an Amazon account, and I started selling them on eBay and Amazon. Um, and then there was more national coverage on these hot peppers. I don't know if you remember a guy named Ted Barris.
Mhm.
He did a thing with some of my peppers. I can't remember which weird thing he did, but he, he did something with my hot peppers, and CBS picked it up or something, and then it was something about the scorpion pepper, and I'm pretty sure I was the only person selling little jars of scorpion dust on. And all of a sudden, I had like overnight, I had like 150 orders for for my pepper powders, and I'm like, oh my
Man.
god, I didn't, I like stayed up into the wee hours, getting this stuff ready and ready to ship out, because I was going to a show the next day. I think it was Columbus. K. Johns used to put on a show in Columbus, and so I'm going to a show the next day, and all of a sudden I've got 100 plus orders that I was totally unprepared for. So that, honestly, that kind of is what sparked it. Somebody got a hold of my pepper powders, my volcano dust, and they're like, "You need to go to some shows. You need to get out there and start promoting this, because this is good stuff." Now you go to shows, and a lot of people have that, but in the beginning, when I first started going to shows, everybody had hot sauce, barbecue sauce, and I'm sitting here with this pile of volcano dust, and and I'd get these big bags of popcorn and give out little samples of popcorn with my volcano dust, and I would sell out. I mean, hundreds of these jars of, and so that was a long answer. I sorry, but
No,
there's just no simple way to explain that. That's kind of the story.
no,
That's
that's
what's
awesome.
and
Yeah,
that's what
that
got me.
to be able to, first of all, have that moment of the catalyst making you want to kind of continue to push yourself forward and find out like, what's spicier out there and how you can enjoy it, right? But then
Yep.
having that moment of being able to have that bond, that growing moment as well with your daughter, and then being able to go out to the farmers markets, really kind of see the explosion of taste buds happening real time.
Yep.
Spicy popcorn is absolutely phenomenal. Anyone that's sleeping on that, they need to go try some. I mean, just pick your
It
poison and throw it on in, and
it was a local pop company here that sells. It's called. I think it's just local to here. It's called Vic's Popcorn. But they, I went there and I was like, "Look, can you just make me? If I give you some of this pepper powder, would you make?" And they make me these giant bags of popcorn with my powder. And they loved it, but they hated it too. Like the people that made the popcorn, it like would clear out the the place. They're
oh
like,
yeah.
but when we put it on that hot popcorn, like the whole place just we had to evacuate. I mean, we laughed about it. They fortunately they didn't hate me for it, but I
Well,
think
that's good.
they enjoyed being a part of that. So
Yeah, yeah, they got tear gassed out whenever they were heating up that popcorn. That's pretty
yeah,
funny.
uh,
The it's something that you had also mentioned was really the overall drive and inspiration of like that initial flood of 150 orders coming in. It had to be one of those moments that you went, do I have enough dehydrators or ways to
right.
dehydrate this?
Yep. That was it was a challenge. I mean, luckily I had enough to fulfill, because these spice jars fit about 3/4 of an ounce
Mhm.
of pepper powder. But if you've ever dehydrated peppers, it's a 8 to 10 to 1 ratio. So for a pound of dried peppers, it takes about 8 to 10 pounds of fresh
Mhm.
peppers to make that. So um, that's it does take a lot, but at the peak of my home gardening, I believe I had 160 pepper plants going, and um, that was just I was maxed out. So um, I've since, of course, I would have to have acres to grow all the peppers that I need. So
Oh yeah.
there's a couple local farmers that grow for me now. So,
Very nice.
mm,
Helping out the community, continuing to not only have growers engaged in that manner, but then also invoking everyone else's interest in wanting to try it in
yeah,
many fun different ways with the popcorn and just simply getting out there and having the, play into the whole news aspect of what's been, popular and going around is also a phenomenal way to continue to be a good catalyst forward. But um, I guess really what was the very first sauce that you ended up rolling out? I'm sure you started making some for yourself, but what was the first one that you were selling?
So in the beginning, I had to borrow space just to fill my pepper powders. There was a local restaurant that gave me space to do that, and eventually I did get my own place. I mentioned him already, but K John's is like, it's great that you're going to these shows with the powder, but you need a sauce. And he offered to collaborate with me, incorporating some of my powders into a chocolate habanero sauce, which became my first hot sauce, Chocolate Lightning. And K. John's helped me develop that. John Hard is an amazing guy, and I owe a lot of gratitude to him because he advised me. I would consider him my mentor in the early years. Um, just really not sure I would have grown in the manner that we did without his advice and input. But he made my first sauce, Chocolate Lightning, um, and so I started with him co-packing, but shortly after that, I got my own spot. My first batches of hot sauce I was making on a stovetop, double boiler kind of situation, so I could only make really a couple gallons at a time. So I was putting out 5 case batches and stuff,
Hmm.
and then I created my own first hot sauce was raspberry scorpion. It started off, it was just going to be like a peach habanero. That was the intention of the recipe development, and it morphed into raspberry scorpion. I can't remember exactly why I must have had a glut of scorpion peppers, and I'm like, well, what if I kind of modified this a little bit and made it a a really hot sauce with some fruit. So, that ended up with peaches, scorpions, and raspberries, and it just kind of went crazy. My favorite part of this is the creative part.
Yep.
Um, if I could just dream up products and let everybody, let other people worry about the other stuff, which a little bit is the case at this point. I've got great guys. Bill and Jason are my other full time guys, and I've got 5 part timers that, and they're just they love the company, they love the products, and they're just, I'm just super lucky to have the good people, working. I say working with me, I mean, because we're all just kind of a team doing our things.
Yeah.
Um, I tend to. Sorry, I kind of got a little bit off track. You asked me about my first hot sauce, so
Yeah,
yeah.
no, no, you're good. This is definitely just all very conversational, easy flowing, easy going.
Yeah,
Um, Something that you had mentioned too with the, obviously Chocolate Lightning is one that is actually one of the ones that I initially got introduced with y'all. And then one that I continuously push to any chili head that I know is like on the hunt for the hottest natural hot sauce. I always direct them because everyone rattles off the ones that they hear about most often, right?
right.
And I always stop them. I'm like, you know what? The best kept secret is you need to go check out Thor IO from Volcanic Peppers. And
Yeah.
immediately, I'll get another message back like a week or so later after they got it, and they're like, "You're right. This is definitely worthy of being in that conversation." So that sauce was so pivotal for me too, in the sense that whenever I initially got it, I was going through so many other hot sauces at the time, going, man, is there something that's going to finally kind of scratch that itch that I'm
Yeah.
on the hunt for? And that one right there, I mean, I ended up starting out slow, and then it was like maybe third, fourth use, and I'm just lathering up, and I'm just enjoying it. Faces, eyes running,
Oh
nose
yeah.
is going,
It's a
but
metabolic boost, that's for sure.
it's so good, so good.
Yeah, that's Thor's. I love Thor's hammer, and I love that creation. And that's I mean that got very popularized because it was on Hot Ones. I'm sure you knew
Hmm.
that season 12, and um, that was a honestly a very interesting time of this company. We were unprepared. We were so unprepared for that. Um, I think in total the order was like 2,400 cases, and I mean we didn't even have automated labeler.
Man.
Could only make at most you know 80 to 100 cases of hot sauce in a day, and even that was a struggle because everything was manual. I mean we
Hmm.
we had a filler, but everything else was manual. It was a ton of work, but it was great. I mean, I would uh, wouldn't trade it for anything, but we all put in some long days and hard work to make that happen. So, but Thor's hammer, the creation of that was, I was just set out to make. I had made hot sauces before, Chocolate Lightning, Raspberry Scorpion, Death by Douglas, Red Reaper, and they're all nice hot sauces. For a chili head, they're good. You could go pretty liberal with them, but you're going to get that metabolic boost. But I hadn't quite made one. I wanted to make something that could potentially compete with an extract sauce without extract,
Oh yeah.
because I'm not a big fan of sauces that use extract. That's just a personal preference. My stomach doesn't tolerate it, and I don't really like the flavor. Um, so I was like, how can I really? And I talked initially early on about my volcano dust, and that's kind of what I've what I came up with, what I was known for. So most of my sauces have some element of my pepper powders. So they're usually a combination of fresh purees um, and pepper powders. So with Thor's hammer, I'm like, without using extract, I'm going to have to lean on powders here. So, it's already got super hot peppers in it, Carolina Reaper, the Scorpion, the Ghost, and a considerable amount um, of those peppers. But then on top of that, it's got an equally, you could almost make a hot sauce out of the powders that I put into this sauce because it's significant. And again, it's all my hottest powders plus the Thai pepper. A lot of times I try to incorporate something that's a little off different. So
Hmm.
you've got, okay, I've got this ghost pepper sauce, got all this ghost pepper, and ghost gives you kind of a certain burn, right?
Yep.
Different peppers kind of burn you different ways, at least for me, and I've heard other people say this too. But so I try to add in elements of different styles of peppers too. So I might make a ghost pepper sauce that also has cayenne in it, or I might make a habanero sauce that, So I try to kind of, and that I think is what gives a lot of my sauces good balance. So you get a little throat burn, maybe you get a little tongue burn, maybe it just makes you sweat. I've kind of gotten to the point where if something's really hot to me, it just kind of, my face gets hot and I sweat. But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the burn. But I've had people look at me with sweat running down my. Why do you do this to yourself? I'm like, this isn't torture to me. This is
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
Well, and that's something that I've talked about quite often too. Is um, the the level in which there's like you in particular. There's not everyone does this. So first and foremost, not everyone does this effect, but really layering in different peppers for different burn or hit characteristics. Things like the Thai, which is going to hit really fast and really quick,
Right.
as where some of those extreme super hots are going to be oftentimes a slower delay. Some of them are faster, but majority are slower, and it burns in
Yep.
different spots. So you get this
Mhm.
well balanced resonating aspect of the burn, but you also are layering in flavors that are cascading as well. So it's
Right.
kind of a best of both worlds scenario playing out. And that's the part that is absolutely magical, is whenever someone's able to tap into that. And
Yeah.
it's just it seems like even even like the more gimmicky hot sauces that are out there should be incorporating some level of this, in my opinion, because it
You know,
if you think about it, it's doing a disservice for those people that pick up the gimmicky sauce because it caught their
yeah.
attention, and now they're
Mhm.
like get a bad taste for what hot sauce could be.
Yeah. And it's amazing to me that, that's what got me going in this all in the first place. Even like back in my 20s was anything that approached hot enough for me just didn't have any flavor. It just tasted terrible. And I, all along, and it probably sounds a little cliche at this point. I think a lot of people incorporate flavor into their marketing, and but I truly, that's just critical to me. It's part of my whole philosophy is
Yep.
if it's going to be hot, it doesn't need to taste bad. It doesn't, that would make it taste good.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to. And it's a, not to sound boastful or whatever, but it's just kind of a talent of mine, that adding flavors and mixing flavors and coming up with something that, one of the sauces I sent you, Brandon, it's called the Traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that could be its own episode talking about that because
Yeah.
it was really fun to develop. But I want to tell you the inspiration for that sauce
Okay.
was something that I cooked at home. I wanted to try. I had heard about it. So I grew up on American goulash. I don't know. Yeah, most people know that as like noodles and ground beef and tomatoes and
Mm-hmm.
cheese, right? But there's a Hungarian goulash, which is completely different. It's more like a beef stew with root vegetables, and it's very heavy with paprika. Um, and I decided to make that, and the end result, the sauce that just naturally developed in making that Hungarian goulash, the flavor was so deep. I was like, oh my God, this is with all that paprika and these root vegetables. What's that? That's like a white carrot. I can't think of the name of what that vegetable is. It's been a while since
I know what you're talking about, but I cannot. I can picture
I
it, but
can't
I
either, but
cannot.
that was
Uh,
part of it.
Endive?
And
No.
no, it'll probably come to me,
Yeah.
but it's it drives me crazy when I can't think of something like that. But anyways, it's got root vegetables and the paprika and the beef and the flavor of that sauce. I was like, I have got to try to replicate that flavor, and that's what the Traveler is. So it's got vegetable stock in it. It's got lots of paprika. It's got some smoked habanero. I think there's roasted garlic in there. Um, I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but it's a flavor bomb, and I think you'll really like it. It's not going to blow you away heat wise. It's a habanero plus a lot of other ingredients level sauce.
Yeah.
Um, but and I love the label on it too. The
Go ahead and pull this up here while we're talking about it. Oh,
Okay,
all right.
sure, yeah.
Clicking into the next thing.
Um, but yeah, I really like the label on it. It was which was inspired by a book series I read called Wheel of Time. We got 40 plus hot sauces, so
Yeah, you definitely have quite the lineup. So
there
before
it
I
is.
get too far past this,
Oh,
right here,
mhm.
that spicy ponzu,
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal. Another one that I love.
oh, that's a huge product for us. We sell tons of the Ponzu. Very popular.
All right, so let's see here. Well, looks like it might
With that,
have some of it here. The roasted bell pepper, smoked habaneros, the roasted garlic, and the paprika are the main things listed here. So
yeah,
let's go
yeah.
with this.
That was
Roasted bell peppers, vinegar, smoked habaneros, white. Sorry, smoked habanero, water, organic vegetable broth.
yeah. That's got a bunch of ingredients in
Yeah,
vegetable. So,
leek juice, concentrate, onions, and then tomato paste, sea salt, mushroom concentrate. Yeah, I mean, absolutely phenomenal. Roasted garlic, paprika, salt, tomato, spices, onion powder, chia seed, vitamin C. So, absolutely, one of those things that a lot of people also aren't doing. I guess it's now becoming a little bit more popular as well, which is the idea of using chia seed instead of xanthan gum. Now, that is something that I've tried both. I have no real preference one way or another because
yeah,
it's not really a noticeable ingredient in that way. But
yeah.
it is interesting because there's those people that are afraid, if you will, of having any kind of gums in there. So xanthan gum, they're like, no, no, and then they'll go
Well,
to the chia seeds.
I'll give. I mean, my opinion is there's absolutely nothing wrong with using xanthan gum. I know that I've heard the opinions and stuff, but it's a safe food additive, and I use it in a lot of sauces, and it's a superior binder. It works better than chia seed, um, but I have. So I started using chia seed with Thor's hammer
Hmm.
because I was asked to use something other than not use xanthan gum. Um, so I edited the recipe and used chia seed. And there's been a few others, like I think Traveler has chia seed. The new Horse
Horse
Brains
brains.
has chia seed, and I guess I did those with the thought. That depending on how they do and to get it into certain markets and stuff like that. So um, that was that's really the thinking when I'm deciding. But when it comes down to it, as far as products that are going to be sitting on a shelf, or I mean, if that's the direction you're going, if you're selling everything directly, by all means. But if you got stuff sitting on shelves like grocery stores and things like that, it doesn't sell well to have massive separation. I
Hmm.
mean, those of us that understand it, big deal, shake it up. It's not an issue. But if you're trying to retail
Yeah.
something, you probably ought to at least think about. Um, I hear people say, different things about it, but it's from everything I've found, it's a safe food additive. So, and it's used. You probably go to restaurants and eat xanthan gum all the time, and you have no idea. I mean, it's widely used in
Hmm.
commercial food manufacturing. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%. I've seen that in quite a few different things, even things that you would never even think that it would be in, it'll show up in.
right.
And yeah, it's ultimately, I've dabbled with, making some stuff here and there off of my own grows at home. And the times that I've gone overboard with the amount of
Yeah,
xanthan gum, I
and
immediately
that's
had to
key.
dump that out.
Yeah, that's key. People that use it as a thickener, uh, no, I don't agree with that because you're going to end up with this glossy, slimy.
Hmm.
It's not what it's intended for. People do it, whatever, to as a thickener. I don't use it as a thickener. I use it as a binder, and I use a very minimal amount, just enough to hold. And that's just something that comes with experience, learning. All right, for this volume, I'm going to need about this much. And how thick is the sauce? Is it you know, I mean, because I don't want to make a thin, like you've had chocolate lightning. That's a pretty thin sauce, kind of a Louisiana style. I
Hmm.
don't want a bunch of gum in there. That's it. It's supposed to be a thin sauce. That's why there's a restrictor on there. But I do want it to hold together. So finding that sweet spot where you're not getting slimy sauce and but your sauce isn't separating on the shelf.
Yeah,
Very important.
absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
something that we had mentioned a second ago that I wanted to touch on as well, which was the inspiration aspect. Obviously, we've already kind of seen just quickly some of the sauces, and we'll be seeing a few more here soon. But as far as your overall inspiration for these sauces, because you have, everything from steak sauce, ponzu sauce, fruit sauces, straight up pepper sauces.
Yeah,
How did that
it's
all come to be?
usually to be perfectly honest, it's usually I'm a food lover. If you know anybody who's friends with me on Facebook, I'm pretty private about my social media stuff, but I have friends. They would tell you. I mean, because I post stuff I cook. I love to cook. I love to experiment, and that's where my inspiration comes from. Honestly, I mean, thinking about just you get it in your head that I wonder what this would taste like with this, and then if I added this, and then I kind of go to and just to be honest, I go to one if I'm thinking I want to develop a certain style of sauce. I'm going to use one of my other ones that I know is super dependable. I know exactly what it's going to put out, and I just kind of use that as a guideline as far as like ratios and things like that. I'd probably take my recipe sheets and just take an old one and start editing that with the new ingredient list and so my inspiration comes from being a foodie. I'd say I love flavor combinations. I love cooking Indian and Thai food. You know, soy sauce just needed to be spicy. And honestly, when I came out with ponzu, it was actually my son. He's like, "Dad, you got to make soy sauce and ginger. It's the thing right now. And that's where ponzu came from. And ponzu is an existing. I mean, that's been around forever. It's a
Hmm.
Japanese sauce that has existed. I just kind of made my own version of it and added hot peppers. So, and it's been a phenomenal sauce for us. It's one of our best sellers.
Oh yeah, it's magical. It's always one that's like hard to not try to use a whole bottle, whether I'm cooking and then trying to spice it back up again as
Right.
well afterwards. Because like I can at home when cooking, I always have to cook things to a certain level of heat,
Yeah.
and then from there, then I can kind of do whatever I want to with my own.
Right.
Um,
Right. No, I get
and
that.
so it's
So,
it's 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 very hard to not burn through a bottle.
oh yeah, the ponds I go through lots of ponzu, but the one of my favorite things. I'm a little bit of a Costco geek. Um, so I tried this. They were giving out samples. It's like a chicken cilantro wonton, like little mini wonton thing. And I was like, wow, that's really good. So I bought a bag of those, and I air fried them and then just drenched them in ponzu. I mean, it's an amazing combination. I was like, holy crap, that's really good. So,
That
but yeah,
sounds
inspiration
amazing.
comes from food, man. I mean, we're not sitting around drinking hot sauce. It's like, how can you use it on food, and how can I replicate this awesome flavor? We have a curry sauce, and that's because I'm in love with, I love curry. Um, I developed a curry powder, and just kind of rolled that into, so the curry powder that we sell is actually the same curry powder that we use in our curry sauce. So, and we won a first place. Screaming Mimi is what it's called, a Screaming Mimi.
Okay. Okay.
It's good to get, but and the New York hot sauce, that Screaming Mimi, that competition is quite competitive. So I was pretty proud to get a first place with my curry sauce on that one. So, but yeah, like I said earlier, I've gotten um, a little bit removed from the public stuff over, like I said, ever since COVID. It just seems like I've had one thing after another in my personal life, and then I didn't really want to be in crowds with COVID, and I
Mhm.
think they even canceled. Um, I can't remember which year, if that was 2020 or 2021, but so my life has started to normalize some, and thinking probably this next year we'll try to get out and do some more public appearances and hit some more shows and stuff. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Well, definitely look forward to seeing you out there at those events. I know New Mexico is on the docket. I think I will be out there in 2026. I just need to iron out the date. I know it's in February. I can't remember what exactly, but I'll be having that one on the radar and a few others. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that whole thing pans out. But definitely look forward to seeing you out there if you're there. Um, but yeah, it's like just obviously I'm not going to ask you what your favorite sauce is, or maybe you might have that strange debacle come up in a little bit. But as you've kind of got through, you've mentioned Cajun, you mentioned some others that are like mentors and so on and so forth. Have you kind of like through your journey of creating sauces, have you found yourself having more of these more mentor relationships? Or are you mentoring others in that process along the way?
I wouldn't say I'm mentoring anybody. I, you know, I've mentored my guys. They're both, have been trained, have gone through the certification and everything, and they're certified to make their hot sauces, and they make our hot sauces and everything. But some of the young guys coming up, I try to be there if they have questions, but I wouldn't say anybody specifically mentoring. Kjon was probably my primary mentor, John Hard, um, and I wouldn't really call it mentoring, but some of the guys that that I just came up with at the same time, Steve Seabury and Ed Curry, um, John Dilly, rest in peace, um, and just some really really great people. Scott Zalkin with Lucky Dog, um, just not really mentorships, but man, we would go to these shows and we'd be like, man, I'm going through this. I had the FDA out to my place, and
Hmm.
they wrecked me, and it made me feel like crap. And just commiserating more, and
Yep.
how did you handle this, and um, you know, kettle stuff, and now I see some of the young guys coming up. I say young guys, I mean kind of newer companies and
Yeah.
stuff, and we connect on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and it's neat. It's neat, and it's also, I feel their pain sometimes. It's like mechanical issues because you're using used equipment that maybe isn't the best, but it's all you can afford at this time, and the struggles with, and I've been through all that. I've had cheap equipment. My first kettle was a 20-gallon electric kettle, and I think I paid $350. I saw it advertised or something. I don't even know where I found it. Some small town in Iowa. I drove 2 hours to go pick this thing up and because man, those things are brand new. I didn't have, I couldn't. I was a struggling young company, and just trying to keep things moving forward. So I bought a $350 20-gallon kettle but it worked. I
Yeah.
mean, it worked, and I was able to make bigger batches. Now instead of 5 cases at a time, I could make 30 cases at a time. And that's how it's gone for me. I've never taken big loans. It's just been, if I can make a little, if I can scratch a little out and buy something new to make it more efficient, make things better. And that's how I've grown very organically.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Slow and steady does win the race, and there's nothing wrong with making sure that you're doing things properly instead of just rushing, because most people that just rush the job end up having an issue, and it could cause very catastrophic
No, look,
outcome for the company.
I've seen I've seen it go. I've seen a lot of companies come and go during the time that I've been doing this. And yeah, every once in a while, you know, some of them blow up fast and they stick around, and I've seen others blow up fast and disappear and go broke. You just, you have to decide what's right for you. If I'm just not comfortable with taking a bunch of debt and putting my house at risk, or
Yep.
I just, certain things just are red lines for me that I'm not going to cross. I'm not going to sacrifice. I'm 54. I can't do this forever. So I have to I have to be somewhat conservative about risks, but still not be afraid to take a calculated risks here and there. So
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense.
mhm.
Well, something that everyone's, I'm sure, dying to know, and we've already kind of touched on. I think I know where you might end up landing on this, but from a daily consumption standpoint, is there a heat level threshold that you like to stay around, whether it's one of your own products or just listing kind of like a pepper?
I mean, this is what's on my counter here right next to me. Good old chocolate lightning, man. It's one of my favorite sauces. So, and then I have, probably just kind of that habanero with some super hot element. So for a daily use type thing. Um, I don't. I use Thor's hammer here and there. I use our new horse brains here and there. But it's not a daily use. It's not, I want to be able to, if I'm having an omelet or something, I want to have plenty of hot sauce on there. I don't want to have to have a few drops on
Yeah.
there. So it just depends on what I'm having, and some of those super hot ones I also use to cook with. So, you can throw uh, a teaspoon or two into something and give it a nice little burn, but it's not overwhelming the dish either. So, but I'd say for me, the level would be kind of habanero plus an element of super hot to it, or is probably my standard daily use. But we also put out recently a new cayenne line called Scarlet, and I don't tend to use the baseline one. It's just cayenne garlic, Frank's level type sauce.
Hmm.
But then we have one um, called Hot Scarlet, that is that cayenne garlic plus Carolina Reaper dust. And then we've got smoking hot scarlet that's smoked cayenne with ghost pepper. So those cayenne with the super hot too, those, I love those for daily use type ones as well. I can't remember if I sent you one of the scarlets. I might have
Yep.
sent you
The
smoking
smoke.
scarlet.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really good one. I think you'll like it, but it's not, it's not going to blow you away, but it gives you that, okay, I'm using like a standard hot sauce with some extra heat kind of thing, if that makes sense to you. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah. No, I absolutely love those. Whenever you're getting a lower heat sauce or what is more pushed as a lower heat sauce, but it subtly has one of those super hots in the background as that note. I love
mhm.
it so much more because obviously you get the contrast of the two different burns, but you also get that little surprise effect. You go in with the expectations of cayenne or habanero or something like that,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you get that super hot pop, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay. Now we're talking.
Some people get surprised by it. We have um, a spicy honey mustard, um, and it not as sweet as your typical honey mustard. I mean, this is more of a mustard with a honey element. Um, but it's, I mean, the label it's jalapeno honey mustard. But if you look at the ingredients, it has yellow ghost has yellow ghost pepper in it too. And I'm not sure why. I just wanted it a little spicier, and I wanted to add that little element. But every now and then, I get somebody is they're like, "That's really spicy," or "That's a spicier mustard than I expected." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a little yellow ghost pepper in there." So, but I do sneak it in here and there, and even our Wicked Whiskey steak sauce. It has Carolina Reaper in it, but using it, you wouldn't know because the amount it's just enough to add that. Oh yeah, there's a little something there in the back of my throat, after eating this. So it's
Yeah.
like a spicy A1 kind of, but that. Um, yeah, so I love playing with those, and I like sneaking them in here and there too. Some of the items that say spicy, whatever, like Wicked Whiskey, spicy steak sauce. It's got a little Reaper in it. Our jalapeno honey mustard has a little yellow ghost pepper in it. And, they're not primary elements, but
Yeah.
they give it that little something something.
Absolutely. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the game real quick.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. We have the Spicy Gauntlet. This is the episode 22 iteration, if you will, of the Sauce Gauntlet. So there's the Pepper Gauntlet, there's the Sauce Gauntlet, there's the Spicy Gauntlet. All have their own different plays in their own different ways. Now, I told you earlier I wasn't going to have you pick your favorite child, aka your favorite sauce. But I hate to do this to you. There's 16 sauces here on this table. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through one by one and advance the bracket. Ultimately, one sauce must win. And I'll go ahead and say the disclaimer for you now. Just because a sauce gets cut does not mean that you hate it. Just simply someone has to win today.
All right.
All right, so here we go up first. And, well, we've been talking about it. We got Chocolate Lightning
All right.
versus the Peach Ghost Puncher.
Yeah.
Pucker.
Chocolate lightning. And I'm supposed to pick one I keep.
Yep.
Yeah, chocolate lightning.
All right. Drop the X on here, and we will keep this thing moving. All right. Up next, we have, well, Black and Blue versus the Green Vulcan.
It's actually kind of a hard one. There's such different sauces. I would not use one of them for the other's purpose, if that makes any sense. Like the
Yeah.
black and blues is like I mean, that's like a finishing sauce that you put on like chicken or pork or something. And the Green Vulcan is, a roasted jalapeno sauce that you're going to put on eggs or tacos or whatever. So that's actually really, really hard for me. I guess I'll.
Well, to give you some context, it will be battling it out with Chocolate Lightning.
um, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go with the black and blue.
All right.
Keep
Black and blue it
I,
is.
just because I use that on different meats, like pork and chicken. I maybe use it a little more than Green Vulcan, but I don't know.
All right. I
Yeah,
like
these
it.
are this week. Oh,
Well, up next, if I can zoom in, make sure I'm reading the name right. Yep. This is the Death by Douglas versus the Benji's Holiday.
well, these are hard matchups.
Yeah.
I'll go with Benji because that's my grandpa.
All right. I like it. I knew having that one scattered in there might be a little bit of a tug at the heartstrings, so I deliberately put it next to another very popular sauce of yours just to kind of see how this one panned out. But next up, we have Horse Brains versus, well, this is Olympus Mont.
So probably horse brains. I'm a little more likely to use horse brains than. I mean, I like Olympus Mons too, but like I said earlier, that's the only sauce we make that has chili pepper extract in it, and I made that because there's a demand for it.
Yep.
Like it or not, there is a demand for that kind of sauce. So, um, yeah,
I
so I'd
will
go with
say
Thor's.
I will say that I agree with you. Extract is not my preferred thing. I actually, if I have the choice to avoid it, I will. But if
Mm,
it's in, say, a challenge product and there's no getting around it, I'll just do it. But
yeah,
not something I actively seek out. Cap
right. Yeah,
crystals, good in my book. Extract just hits weird. I don't like the taste. It gives that
yeah,
metallic taste afterwards if you're having hot coffee or something.
right.
So, all right. Well, raspberry scorpion versus the twisted pickle.
Hmm. Again, I like them both in different ways, but probably the raspberry scorpion.
All right.
Twisted
As
pickle is pretty mild to me.
as we were talking through it earlier, I knew it was also going to be something that was pivotal to have on here, and I didn't want to have some stacked together that ultimately would have led to an early elimination of a strong sauce. But
Hmm.
we have up next Thor's IO versus,
Oh
well,
wow,
this is the Red Reaper.
this is this is actually an impossible choice because I love both of these sauces. Um, it's hard not to take Thor's hammer because it's such a popular sauce and I sell so much of it. But from a use standpoint, I probably use Red Reaper a little more because it's a little more you can splash it on, type of sauce. I mean, not every some people
Yeah.
it's going to be way too hot for. It's still a very hot sauce, but to me, it's more like a daily use type sauce. So since we're talking kind of personal use, what would I choose? I hate to say it, but I'm going to go with Red Reaper.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
You know, I mean, I've got so much love for Thor's hammer, but if I'm talking about what I'm using, yeah, I
Yep.
use Ponzu. I use Ponzu all the time. I'm going with Ponzu.
All right.
I
Don't
love
even need
I
to get
love the
into
hot
it.
taco sauce, but
Ponzu it is.
yeah,
All right. And then the last one. Something that I've noticed, I've caught a trend on myself as I create these games. This bottom right hand bracket is always the lower heat, more reasonable for everyone type of sauces. So,
okay, gotcha.
well, we got a battle of the Scarlets. We were talking about this
Yeah,
earlier, and so I thought it
yeah,
was only fitting.
I'd have to go with the smoking.
All right. Smoking it is.
It's got a little extra heat. The regular Scarlet's great if you just want a straight cayenne sauce, but
Yep.
that's pretty mild to me. I mean, I love the flavor, but so I'm gonna go with this. I have to go with the smoking.
All right. Well, here is our final eight. Now it's starting to get even harder as we move forward. So, up first, we have Chocolate Lightning versus, well, Black and Blue.
Yeah, I'd have to go with chocolate lightning.
All right. Simple enough.
Yep.
Then we have, well, Benji's Holiday versus Horse Brains.
Hmm. Probably have to advance Benji.
Okay.
It's a little bit gets a little more use for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And boom, right there. All right. Next up, we have, well, Raspberry Scorpion versus the Red Reaper.
So for me, raspberry scorpion's a little more of a niche. Like I generally use that on Asian food. It's magical with peanut butter chicken. Um, the combination is hard to beat. Um, but Red Reaper would be more of a. I'd probably reach for that more often.
All right.
So advanced Red Reaper.
There we go. Apparently my computer's freezing. There we go. All right. Now we have the spicy ponzu versus the smoking scarlet.
That's really flip a coin. I really like both of those, and I probably use them similarly I'm going to stick with kind of my philosophy of specialty versus more use. Probably the Smoking Scarlet. I'll advance that just because Ponzu's a little more specialized used for me. Love it,
Absolutely.
but I'm not going to splash it on my eggs in the morning.
Although that might be interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't gravitate that way either. So that makes sense. All right,
Yeah.
down to the final four. We have Chocolate Lightning versus Benji, and then we have Red Reaper versus Smokin' Scarlet. So let's start with the Chocolate Lightning versus Benji's Holiday.
I use Chocolate Lightning more often, so I'd have to stick with that.
All right.
I mean, if you would have asked me what my favorite sauce is, my go-to response is Chocolate Lightning. So
Okay. Okay.
you could have just asked me.
Well, then it sounds like we're about to just eliminate a double elimination here.
Yeah,
So
probably. Yeah.
Smoking Scarlet versus the Red Reaper.
Just lately I've been using more of the Smoking Scarlet, so I'm going to go with that. I like them both probably equally, but and then yeah, I have to stick with my Chocolate Lightning. It's been my long time probably favorite hot sauce. So
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this here. We're gonna make this thing nice and big for everyone. And there we go. We have the winner here. This is Chocolate Lightning has taken home the spicy Sauce Gauntlet 22. So absolutely fun. And yes, had I known that there was a more so dedicated favorite, ultimately that might have played out a little bit different. But
yeah,
always a fun way to break up the overall interview flow and everything that's going on by diving in, and a great way to showcase a good portion of the different sauces that y'all offer.
no, yeah, that was fun.
So appreciate that. And, one chance here for a nugget of knowledge. I know we touched on a few things that have been beneficial for those that are starting out, but this would be something that you would want to, advise or tell somebody that is getting into the space, or maybe they've entered and they've kind of hit a plateau. What would your nugget of knowledge be for them?
Boy, that takes a little thought actually. So a nugget for people starting out. Do it the right way. It's kind of part of a little bit of my philosophy. Do the right thing, whether someone's looking or not. So just because you can get away with cutting corners and doing things the wrong way, I've seen too many people kind of, you know, basically ruin their company because they didn't make good decisions. So do things the right way. Don't get ahead of yourself. And just be positive and get out there and do your best. I mean, you can't predict the future, so you just if it's something you love and something you think you can be successful at, be patient, do the right things, take the right steps, get out and do farmers markets. Do your little local fairs. Anything you can to get your name out and get your product out, get people tasting it. It's hard to just put stuff on the shelves and expect that people are going to buy it when they don't know anything about you, your product. They've never tried it. So get out there and show people what you got. And if they love
Absolutely.
it, then they'll buy it and they'll keep coming back.
Absolutely. Very well said. Well, thank you for that nugget of knowledge. Now is your chance for a hot seat nomination. This is someone that you think would make a great guest for the show.
Sure. And I did some thinking about this, and I actually have two suggestions. So
Okay.
if one of them says they can't do it or you've already done it before, but I'd say, from an old school dude like me, maybe Scott Zalkin. He's a
Okay.
great, fun guy. I have done a lot of shows with him, and we've, he's stayed in touch over the years and everything. From a newer school, Zach Perkins with High Desert. Seems to be a real talented guy and an up and comer. And, I wish wish the best for him. But he's one of those guys I see, you know, I see what he's going through, and I'm like, yeah, I can relate, man. I've been there, and I've tried giving him a little advice here and there. I don't know if it's been helpful to him, but you know, he might be an option too. So
Very nice. Well, thank you for those nominations. Scott,
mm-hmm.
look forward to reaching out and having you find a time that works, have you on the podcast. And Zach,
Mm-hmm.
look forward to having you back on as well. Absolute fun time having him on. And thank you so much
Yeah,
for those nominations. Now,
yeah, sure.
this last part is really where can everyone find you? How can they find you? Any announcements you want to have? This part's greatly beneficial for those that are on Apple Podcasts, as they're the only one that don't have the video element.
Yeah, so social media, they're both at Volcanic Peppers, Instagram and Facebook. We got a pretty good following, and we put out information on both of those sites about new products and what's going on. So if you're interested, you can follow us there. Um, we've got a website. We ship every day, volcanicpeppers.com, and I don't really have any special announcements. I mean, we're just doing our thing, and if you're kind of in this local area, we sell at a lot of the local grocery store chain called Hy-Vee. It's kind of we have a pretty good regional presence with a fresh salsa. We didn't really talk about that, but it's a big part of our business too. Is fresh refrigerated salsa that we sell in the local kind of regionally. Keeps the lights on. It's a
Yeah.
good revolving door. You asked about advice. I got some advice a while back, and it was from John Hard. Do salsa. People consume salsa faster than they do hot sauce, and it'll be a good. And it was great advice. It's been real good for us. So
Very nice. Well,
mm-hmm.
absolute pleasure having you on, Tim. Still so much more we can dive into, as you were saying as well, with the different sauces. We can even kind of carve out separate episodes just for those as well. But still so much more we can dive into and really get to have a better understanding of just, your overall enjoyment, passions, and where you're headed. So would love to have you back on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just hit me up.
Tim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on here. If you want to keep up with Volcanic Peppers, I will have the links down below for all the ways that you can keep up with him, as well as all the announcements that will be rolling out, new sauces, etc. Highly recommend if you want to check out the sauces that were featured here on Hot or Not tonight. I will have the direct links down below for those, as well as, check out the full lineup, because Volcanic Peppers, as we've discussed here in tonight's episode, has quite the wide range, and everything from those that are just starting out to those that are extreme chili heads pushing themselves all the time. A quick reminder, new episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. Also wanted to say we have available sponsor opportunities available. So if you're looking to sponsor the podcast, reach out via social media or through the website and we'll get that started. Want to give a quick shout out for our sponsors, podvision.io. If you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, if you hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all of those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have an online site. Maybe you had a guy at one point. You lost contact with him. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one. Make it simple, painless, easy. Best of all, they get you looking great online while you get to do what you do best. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.